and that was where I really got into real estate brokering because I like investing and I wanted to like have access to the MLS here, so I'd see inventory. And like the big thing I noticed about real estate agents is they didn't know anything about real estate investing, the majority of them. And I'm like,
Right.
Guys, you don't have a retirement. You better learn how to invest. And quite honestly, it blows my mind that, there's probably only about 10 or 15% or less agents that are actually agent investors. And I'm like, well, this is what you live and breathe. Why wouldn't you want to like grow your wealth? And like, if you're always transaction based, you're never going to get ahead in this world.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to be able to make money while you sleep. You have to. You need both. You need active income, and then you also need that passive income as well too, and put your money into an asset that is, well, three things. One, cash flow. Two, mortgage pay down. And then the third one is appreciation, but you may not always get it. So that's why I never buy for appreciation. I will take it when I get it, but I'm buying for cash flow and I want the mortgage paid down.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Hello, everyone. We're back. We're going to dive in and we're going to talk all things real estate and real estate investing from a gentleman who's been around the block, and he's going to give some perspective. I'm going to fire a bunch of questions I was thinking about this morning on real estate investing, what you might want to know. And if Gary, if we could go back from when you started in real estate brokering, and also you're an agent investor, but going back just on the investing side, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself when you were getting started?
What I know now, what I would tell myself when I get started is, I think one is always kind of believing in yourself. Two, not to follow the crowd. Everybody at that time was like, don't get into real estate investing. It's too risky. You got to deal with tenants and the market's going to crash and interest rates. And so what you've got to really do is be able to cut the noise out and really pay attention more to the signal. And then number two is really about understanding the fundamentals of real estate investing. Once you understand the fundamentals of location and tenant profile and what kind of infrastructure changes are they making in that particular area, is job growth moving up or down? What about the population? And so once you kind of just pay attention to the signals, remove the noise, it makes things so much easier, and you really can invest in any market and in any time if you follow that particular strategy.
I like that. So talk about your evolution, like when you were starting to invest and you might have had limited capital.
Yeah,
your strategies you were using then, and versus like how you think about real estate now, which I would imagine is completely different.
Oh, it's so different. But in the beginning, you're right. I didn't have the money. And when you don't have the money, you've got to be able to learn how to attract the money to you. And so what I ended up doing was obviously attending networking events. And I'd see somebody sit beside me, like, they'd stand up and like, oh yeah, I got 5 properties. And somebody else would be like, oh, I got 10 properties. I'm like, how? This doesn't make any sense. And what I understood and learned was that it is all about money, people, deal. And so once I got good at understanding that formula, if you control 2 pieces, the other one would come. And so I got really good at finding the deals. I got really good then to creating the people and having the people around me, meaning the realtor, the lawyer, the accountant, the contractor, the property manager. Then the money would flow because I had 2 out of the 3. And so people would say, well, why is it that you're getting 50-50 and I'm bringing all the money? It's like, yeah, but I got 2/3 of the equation. And the only time I've ever seen that happen is in marriage, where, somebody has more and then they get less. But I was actually providing a lot more because all they had to do was put the money in, and they were the passive investors. I was doing all the work with the team, with finding the deals and bringing something that was going to give them good return on their money.
The market's crazy pretty much everywhere right now. After COVID, there was a huge, run up in house and home prices. Yep. It's a lot tougher today, I think, personally, than it was years ago. What opportunities do you see around the corner? Do you see a recession coming? Do you see big opportunities? Curious on your mindset shift to like what's coming and how we can position ourselves.
Yeah, The way that I see that people need to position themselves is there's two ways of doing it. And I think it also depends on the market that you're in. And things always move in different cycles. And so with the cycles that I'm seeing right now, especially more like up in Canada, is we're starting to see different types of strategies come back, like rent to own as a strategy. What we're seeing up here now is instead of single family homes working, you've got to get into larger units, like 3 units, 4 units, or multifamily. And so to be able to do that, you've got to be able to scale. And another strategy which I like is private investing, where you're lending your money out, but it's more of a passive way. But to get to that, you really got to build your wealth through owning assets. Do I think there's a recession coming? Possibly, but here's a great quote: is that the economy doesn't have to reflect your economy. And so even though during a recession, you can still create a good economy. And so if sales are down, if you're a realtor or whatever field that you're in, then you just got to work twice as hard or 3 times as hard. That's all you've got to do. And once you're able to do that in those type of environments, when that recession comes again, you'll know what you need to do to be able to navigate those murky waters.
Are you still working your traditional brokerage as well? Are you helping? Is that mostly investors, or is it a mix of people buying luxury homes and first-time buyers? What is that? What does your profile look like now on just the real estate brokerage side?
Yeah, great question. So on the real estate broker side, yeah, we're helping our realtors do single family homes, be regular real estate agent, but also too, there's another piece of it that I brought into that brokerage is that I've got a real estate education company called Smart Home Choice. And so that real estate education company is what we're teaching them is it's great to be a realtor and to find clients the way that you can do it in different ways, whether it be on social media, whether it be door knocking, whether it be doing events. There's so many different ways of doing it. But if you have a client, learn how to have a client for life. And how you do that is taking them out of that red ocean where a lot of real estate are focusing on, take them into the blue ocean. And that blue ocean now is helping them become a real estate investor, because after 3 or 4 years or 5 years, they now may potentially have some equity in their home. And if you can educate them on a great place to put their equity in an asset that is going to benefit them when it comes to retirement, then they're going to tell their friends because you stand out from just a regular real estate agent.
I love that. I love that. I used to sell a lot of real estate back in the day. And that was where I really got into real estate brokering because I like investing and I wanted to like have access to the MLS here. So I had see inventory. And like the big thing I noticed about real estate agents is they didn't know anything about real estate investing, the majority of them. And I'm
Right.
like, guys, you don't have a retirement. You better learn how to invest. And quite honestly, I would much rather, like I'm looking in Arizona right now, and I want to find an agent that's an agent investor because I'm like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and they get it more than the traditional real estate agent. And it blows my mind that there's probably only about 10 or 15% or less agents that are actually agent investors. And I'm like, well, this is what you live and breathe. Why wouldn't you want to like grow your wealth? And like, if you're always transaction based, you're never going to get ahead in this world.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got to be able to make money while you sleep. You have to. You need both. You need active income, and then you also need that passive income as well too. And to put your money into an asset that is, well, 3 things. 1, cash flow. 2, mortgage pay down. And then the third one is appreciation, but you may not always get it. So that's why I never buy for appreciation. I will take it when I get it, but I'm buying for cash flow and I want the mortgage pay down.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, because, right, we don't know, historically, real estate goes up over time, but there might be a lull in the market where there's 5 or 6 years where you're not getting that appreciation. That's where I went wrong as an early investor in my early 20s. I thought anytime you bought something, it goes up in value. And when 2007 through 9 rolled around, I learned a big lesson back then. And a lot of this too, for agent investors out there and for investors in general, it comes down to mindset and staying consistent in the game. This isn't a get rich quick business. It's like get rich slow business.
Yeah.
Like, where do you see people, like, how do you get people in the right mindset when you're coaching these other real estate agents to get into put the investor cap on and like talk to them about like, hey, this isn't easy like you see on TV, but yes, it's very achievable.
I think there's two things that they've got to do. I mean, there's lots of things, but two things that really kind of stick out. Number one is you want to surround yourself with people that have the right mindset as you, and that's what they call it, the mastermind. And so find networking events, find real estate investment clubs in your local area, and go and spend time with them. Go and listen. And in the beginning, you may not be able to get and grasp all the information. You're going to throw out a lot of acronyms, but that's okay. Just be in that room. And what you'll find is that people in those rooms sincerely want to continue to keep helping each other. Very different from the corporate world. Because I came from the corporate world. I was there for like 17 years, and I can see the big difference. Number two is find yourself a mentor, somebody that is where you want to be, not where you're going, because sometimes it's hard to find that mentor, that guru, but it's got to be somebody that is they have the track record, they've been doing it for 10 or maybe longer years, they have a portfolio and they know what they're talking about. And then number three, educate yourself through podcasts. It doesn't have to just be real estate investing. What I did first was I focused more on the mindset. I started listening to Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, if you want to really kind of start dating me, Brian Tracy, Les Brown. And those people shaped my mindset. To me, I think it's, I used to think it was 80% mindset. I'm leaning more towards 90 or even higher mindset. When you take a look at even like people in the professional sports, NBA, NFL, you're like, well, these guys are like all amazing players. Why is it that one team beats the other one? It's that mindset when you really get down to, when you're getting into the playoffs and those big games. It's mindset and keeping that nerve under control.
How do you keep your consistency, right? Because this is a consistency type of business, right? You have to be very consistent. You always have to be like looking at deals. You always have to have deal flow coming in. What's your routine look like, and how do you keep your knife sharp, right? Like, I think that's an important part of this too. Along with mindset, it's also that consistency factor and those routines that lead to big things.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things. So one is purpose is stronger than object. So if you're only just chasing a property and you don't have a strong purpose as to why, because listen, man, I don't wake up and I say, man, I can't wait to be a landlord. No, there's a reason why I bought that investment property. And if you drill down to everything that you're going after or purchasing, why is very important. So purpose is stronger than object. And so if you tie a why to whatever it is that you're doing, then it'll allow you to stay consistent. It'll allow you to wake up early in the morning and allow you to go to bed late at night, because I'm so driven with my purpose. Number two, what I love as well too, and I think this is where people get things mixed up or have a difficult time with it, is the work-life balance. The way that I've figured it out is I've designed a life where I've seen how life can be very short. And so what I do is I do mini retirements. I take July and August off, and I take December and January off. Now, it's not easy in the beginning, but that was what I strive for. I have a team in place, and that allows me to then refocus and see, am I going in the right direction? Because at the end of that retirement, end of August, guess what I want to do? I don't want to lay on the beach anymore. I don't want to relax anymore, because I need purpose in my life. And then I go back to work, and then I go as hard as I can. And then by the end of November, I'm almost burnt out. And then boom, I'm back into retirement again. And so then if I do that, I never have to worry about a retirement age of 65. My retirement will be when I take my last breath at maybe 95, right?
I love that. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't do the mini vacations like you do, or actually those are nice long vacations. But yeah, I can see how that really drives you. I love it. I think personally, I don't do that enough, and I could see the value of recharging the brain, the mind, right? Because we're all passionate about what we do in general. Like, if you're not, I think you need a career change, right? Like, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, I like entrepreneurship because, look, we can get a new idea and run with it, right? And I love that. That's really what I like to do, is create things and events and different stuff like that. I'm curious on anything that interests you, as far as businesses or different real estate asset classes besides multifamily, single family type of assets. Anything else that intrigues you from like a portfolio diversification, like something you're watching right now, or maybe you're, putting your toe in the water to see if it's a good fit, just besides real estate? or another asset
Besides,
class?
yeah, well, the one that I like a lot was during COVID. I didn't like the lockdowns, and so I said, you know what? Never again will I ever feel like I'm locked down in a particular country. And so what I ended up doing was we purchased a property in Mexico, Playa de Carmen. But more importantly, we got our temporary residency, and then we're working towards our permanent residency. And so that allows me now to be able to move to and travel to different countries. And so I like that particular strategy. And number two, it also allows me to put money, funds in an asset class outside of the country that I'm in. There's a great company that I follow called the Nomad Capitalist, and really what they're all about is use the world as your playground, and collect different passports. And there's lots of different countries out there, like Panama, where you can get residency for $5,000 if you open up a bank account. Other countries are less, and other ones are more. But definitely explore that, where it's not just one country you're in. Be able to move around the world.
Yeah, I love Mexico. First off, I was just in Playa del Carmen last summer,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
it's amazing to see how much money is moving there right now. Absolutely amazing.
Yes,
And it's amazing exploring all of Mexico. I actually met my wife traveling in Mexico about
nice.
6 years ago, in the state of Jalisco. So I'm a big fan of Mexico. I see that market really like um, growing and growing and growing, because one is like, where else can you get, it's close to for me, close to the United States, um, and easy flight. Like if I fly into the Manzanillo airport, I think it's 3 hours, 3.5 hours from here in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And then the price of real estate, right? Now it's a little bit more challenging understanding the structures. I mean, I think it's no different really. Just understanding the way, you have to buy in a trust or a corporation. But if you can get your citizenship too, you can own real estate. So I'm really intrigued, and that is kind of my vision too, is actually to own real estate in Mexico. My 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 wife's family is they're all school teachers, all of her whole family. But my suegra, or my mother-in-law, uh, she never made a ton of money, but she collects doors now. I mean, she's just buying real estate, and it's like,
Nice.
she's got a condo there, and your dollar can go really far. Now, Playa del Carmen's getting pricey now.
Yeah.
Now, are you gonna like short-term rent that when you're not there, or what's the plan with the property?
Yeah, great question. So we've been short-term renting it, and now Airbnb, man, they take fees, boy. They take a lot of fees, and so we've recently switched, and it's going well because we're usually down there from anywhere from between November and February, and so we keep them usually for ourselves or our family, friends, and then the rest of the months we're doing now midterm. So we're doing midterm rental, so anywhere from 2 months to 6 months. So we've got somebody in there right now for 2 months. We've got somebody else looking to maybe do it for 2 or 3 months during the summer. And so that's great. So it allows the income to continue to come in. The other thing as well, too, that we did with that property is that it's a 3-bedroom. So I wanted to get something bigger. I wanted something that made sense, just from a rentable standpoint. But we also converted into a 2-unit. So now we put another door in the hallway, and also a lock off inside the unit, which allows us to use it still, so we can either rent it out as a 1-bedroom kitchen or as an apartment with like a coffee maker and and a pull out sofa that can turn into a bed.
I think once lending gets easier for people wanting to buy there, Americans, Canadians, that's going to really open up the door. I mean, there's some lending right now, but it's a lot more challenging. Once somebody figures that out, it's going to be a gold rush. I just know it.
Yeah, it is definitely, you need a little bit more deeper pockets because it is difficult to be able to get mortgages or lending down there. But you're right, though, once that opens up, it'll be an explosion. It'll be an explosion. And the other thing as well, too, that I love when I'm looking at real estate, I like stable markets. And when you look at the market, specifically in Playa de Carmen, is that it's a nice incline like this. It just goes nice and smooth. And it's because their interest rates are typically anywhere between 7 to 10%. So it's not everybody can get into that type of a market. But when you get into, what you've seen in North America and Canada, where rates are sometimes 6 or 7%, and it comes back down to 2%. And, so you get those fluctuations. And so you get those, those spikes and then those valleys. And so I like stable markets, and Playa del Carmen right now has an incredibly stable market.
So do you speak Spanish? No.
Poquito.
Okay. Yeah, I have to learn.
I got to learn though. I got to pick it up more.
When I met, I always tell this story. When I met my wife, she didn't speak English and I didn't speak Spanish. And then, luckily, she's a lot smarter than I am, and she learned English very quickly. But yeah, it's my in-laws don't speak English, so it's I've been I started early on when we were dating. I was trying to learn it, and then we get busy with our work and our careers.
Yep.
But I am because I do plan on spending a lot of time in Mexico now. I do want to be fluent. It would be useful because I go to a lot of places where there's not as many English speaking people, right? Playa del Carmen's pretty diverse. There's a lot of English speaking people.
There is.
But when you go to small towns and you can't communicate, it's really, so that's one of my in the next 2 years, I'd hope to be a little bit more fluent in Spanish. But I do love the culture, obviously the food, the beaches.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it is. You're getting me excited to go. Actually, my wife's going in next week to visit family, but I can't go. I got a lot of commitments.
Well, I tell you what, if you ever want to use my condo, it's yours, brother. Promise.
Right. Yeah.
Mi casa, tu casa.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, I really had a good time in Playa del Carmen. I went to some smaller towns around there as well. There's some, if you drive down, I can't remember the name of the town. And that's what I love about Mexico. You just pull up to these small little towns, and there's these restaurants sitting on the beach. You just go and have these amazing meals, and then you just jump in the ocean. And it's just relaxed. It's a relaxed environment. That's why there's so many Canadians and Americans relocating there right now, because they can take we can take our Social Security and we can live decently, right? And because the cost of living,
it's safe, and it's safe, which people think that it's not. They think of the cartel, and then now they just assume, well, it's not safe, and it can't be further and farther from the truth. It really is safe there. Listen, there are places here in Toronto where I am, and you can find yourself in a dark alley at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night, and be in a lot of trouble. And I'm sure it's the same in different parts of the U.S. as well, too. And so I think it's very safe. And they also got a lot of police. There's military as well there, too. And the tourism is very important to them. And so they want to protect it and look after it.
Awesome. As we wrap up our conversation, I know you pointed out you're a big fan of podcasts and stuff. Give me 1 or 2 more resources where you think if somebody's stuck in the corporate world and they're like, hey, this isn't the life for me. What are some resources that you would, recommend they do? I mean, obviously going out to these real estate investing networking clubs, getting around like-minded people, but maybe a book or 2 that you've read or listened to on Audible or whatever that have kind of made you, that you say, this is a book that I remember, right? Because we listen to a lot of books and there's 1 or 2 that pop out.
Yeah, if I have to pick a book, the very first one that I would say that really started to open my eyes was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It changed the way that I looked at money and assets. And, I remember my financial advisor saying that my car was an asset, or the house that I live in was an asset. And he was changing the rules on me, saying, no, that's a liability. And I'm like, what? Well, you're shattering my whole entire spectrum of what I've been taught. And so that's the first one. Number 2, it's a mindset one, but Think and Grow Rich. How can you not read a book about Think and Grow Rich, and you're trying to get rich and you haven't read a book called Think and Grow Rich? So those are 2. One is on real estate and the other one is on mindset. And if there's something that to listen to, there's 2 people that I would highly recommend. The first person that completely shifted my life was Jim Rohn. I mastered him. I listened to almost every single podcast he did. And then later on, I found Tony Robbins, which I didn't realize that Tony Robbins was actually a student of Jim Rohn. And he's just taken what Jim Rohn taught him to a completely different level. And so those are 2 books and 2 people that I would say that you highly, highly listen to and read.
Oh, awesome. I haven't really spent a lot of time with Jim Rohn. But I will now because I think like you're not the only one that's told me that. And I think, success leaves clues. If people are saying, hey, there's a couple people to listen to.
Mm.
Lately, I've been um, binging on the guy that wrote the book Influence, Dr. Robert Cialdini. That's a really good book.
Yeah.
And I like his concept about ethical persuasion, getting more people to say yes in an ethical manner. I like that, just how he wordsmith things, and like the studies that he's done a lot of case studies. Like, for example, there was a McDonald's case study, and they gave the kids balloons as they came into McDonald's. Well, the average ticket was 22% higher for the family because they came in with a good mood. Or if
Yep.
you're at a restaurant, right, and that waiter or waitress goes up and beyond and maybe leaves you a mint or two, right, or is more friendly. There's studies that show how much more in a tip they'll get. And then, so there's a lot of things that I've learned from Dr. Cialdini that are phenomenal. But I think that's a beautiful thing about the world, is that there's knowledge at your fingertips, right? Like, you can go get the knowledge, you can go get a mentor. People are out
Yep.
there wanting to help. And so I would urge everybody to get plugged in, and really, like, if you're kind of feeling stuck because you do the same routine every day, you're not growing your net worth, you got to plug into the right people. Speaking of that, Gary, where can people follow you? Your
Yeah. And
podcast?
before, before I get to that, I want to leave people with just a couple quotes,
Sure.
because I think this is really important, especially during this day and age. And these are quotes that I got from Jim Rohn. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. So important. Don't ask for less problems, ask for more skills. You can work hard in your job, you can make a living. Work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And this is my favorite one, which is make the goal to become a millionaire, not for the money, but for the person you will become to achieve it. And so right there, it tells you it's not about the money, it's the person that you've got to become. And so those are lessons that have completely changed my life. That's why the mindset is so important. So thank you for having me on your show. If they want to learn more about me, they can either follow me on YouTube, they can do a search on Real Talk with Gary, or they can find me on Instagram, just Gary Hibbert. Just Google my name and you'll find me. Not hard to find.
Awesome conversation. Really, that's why I love doing this, is you get to meet really cool people that give off a lot of energy. Like, I felt your energy and your vibe, which is always a good thing. And like,
thank you.
I love, and also I always pick up things too, right? So, hey guys, if you're out there, you might want to start your own podcast eventually, because then that's a good way of networking with people, and learning, and then sharing these conversations with the world. And then the world gets, somebody's going to stumble onto this video or this audio, and they're going to be like, wow, what a great conversation. They're going to look into Jim Rohn, right? They're going to think about real estate in a new way. They're going to think about all these things. And so, like, really what I've learned over the many years I've been around is that, like, if you want to do it, plug in, start listening, like at the gym, right? When I'm doing low impact, like walking on a treadmill or some light cardio, I'm spending 45 minutes learning from somebody. And like every day, I can pick who I want to learn from every day. I'm like, okay, I'm going to binge on Dr. Robert Cialdini. I'm going to listen to Jim Rohn. I'm going to listen to some economics people talking about real estate, so I'm better understanding. I'm really into the, here in the States, I do a lot of SBA lending now, business acquisition type of financing. So I'm listening to different things, and I'm constantly sharpening tools. And this is out for everybody. So there's really, I guess at the end of the day, there's no excuses for any of you. It's just opening up your mind and your perspective that there's a lot of resources out there to get you started. And once you get started and you catch the bug, you'll just keep going, and you'll keep like right? I'm sure, Gary, it's like for you, you're always in a state of like constant improvement, right? Learning, implementing. I think that's it,
always.
Working out. Yeah.
And you got to look after your body, right? You got to treat your body like a temple. And I'll wrap it up with this. I think this is important. There's two lumberjacks in the forest, and they're both cutting lumber and wood. But one lumberjack leaves every day at the same time for an hour, comes back, and at the end of the day, he always cuts more wood than the other lumberjack that's there all day. And finally, a few months goes by, and he goes to the lumberjack. He's like, where the hell do you go for an hour? And you still cut more wood than I do. And he goes, oh, I go to sharpen my axe.
I love that.
That's the mindset piece. That's
Yeah.
what you're doing in the gym when you're listening to those podcasts. And so go and sharpen your axe. Spend time on that.
I love that. Love that. Love that. Thank you so much, Gary. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Hi guys, Beau Eckstein here, and I'm with baby Beau. Baby Beau is just a little over 4 months. He's my first child, my wife and I. So if you want to create legacy for your family, I highly suggest you go to our Business Ownership Summit. You can find all the events we're doing. Primarily, they're all free. You can go to beaueckstein.com/events. And I hope to see you at one of our events. We teach business ownership, how to leverage SBA financing, tax strategies. I'm not a CPA and an attorney, but we bring CPAs on. You're going to learn why everyone should own a small business. So I hope you attend. Go to beaueckstein.com/events. I'll see you at the next one. Hey guys, Beau Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.